And we'll get more on this with our guest now, Mehmet Ogutcu, a former Turkish diplomat and political analyst, speaking to us now from Nicosia. Is this, Mr. Ogutcu, a power grab, put simply, by Recep Tayyip Erdogan?
Yes, you might say so, because he thought that Davutoglu would be in the cabinet taking his marching orders to implement his vision, rather than a prime minister with his independent mind and building his power base. And, well, he has been in power 20 months only, but he had to handle 2 elections, and the last one was won thanks to Erdogan's intervention. And he didn't think that Davutoglu supported him in his executive presidential ambitions, also in his struggle against Gülenist movement. And in foreign policy, we see what happened, of course, while he was thinking of creating zero problems with neighbors. What we ended up is problems with almost every neighbor. I don't think this was because of Davutoglu, but he takes a large portion of the blame for that. And I think also what the previous speaker said, Davutoglu developing cozy relationship with Washington and Brussels, and his credibility is higher than that of Erdogan, and he didn't like that. Clearly, he wants to pursue a presidential agenda in the country, and Davutoglu was not going to help in that.
So how do you think this is going to affect relations with, in particular, the European Union then? I mean, we know that there have been negotiations recently. There's been a migrant deal between Brussels and Ankara. Do you think negotiations will be as effective now that Ahmet Davutoglu is no longer the prime minister?
Well, you still have the foreign minister who led the negotiations, and also the team is in place. And I don't think Erdogan is going to change this deal. But as we all know, he is quite hard-nosed and difficult to negotiate. And he's also very outspoken. He says whatever he believes, whereas Davutoglu always a smiling face and trying to find middle ground, building consensus. So different styles of governance. But on the EU relationship, I don't think that Erdogan will be as enthusiastic as Davutoglu was, because he believed that in the face of tense relationship in the Middle East with Russia, Iran, East Med issues, and he thought that EU will be the best anchor in terms of foreign and security policy, whereas Erdogan has a very high opinion of himself and full confidence that he can handle it through Islamic solidarity and also with other nations, including with China.
And if we get back to domestic politics in Turkey, both you and our correspondent mentioned that one of the disagreements between Davutoglu and the president was this presidential regime, the presidential executive powers that Recep Tayyip Erdogan wants to enshrine into the constitution. Is that something you think he'll be able to achieve with Davutoglu gone?
Well, what will happen now is that, as you know, there will be a party convention meeting in 2 weeks' time, where there will be Erdogan's candidate winning the chairmanship of the party and also prime ministership. There are a couple of candidates. I think most favored one is the current Minister of Transport, Binali Yıldırım, and he will be a technocrat following orders from Erdogan. And if they decide also to organize a snap election in August, this is widely speculated, and there is a high probability that he might win this election with landslide victory. Why? Because the 2 parties in the opposition, MHP, the Nationalist Party, and the pro-Kurdish party, HDP, they might even remain below the threshold of 10%. And this might mean that he will have almost 400 MPs. And that will give him a comfortable majority to amend the constitution to create what many people call is a executive presidential system. And so that's not a very positive signal, because also the opposition party today called what happened to Davutoglu is sort of a coup d'etat from the palace.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That means that President Erdogan, and we understand from what you're saying, could yet achieve his ambition of turning Turkey into a presidential system and pushing through that constitutional reform. Mehmet Ogutcu, thank you very much for speaking to us here at France 24.
Thank you.
Now, fight.